Am I live yet? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to day 5 of our 5-day How to Love Yourself in 5 Days workshop. Steve's away on grandpa duty today, so it's just me. And I'm going to recap, first of all, what we've done so far, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do today. So, as we said in the beginning, there's 2 parts to self-love. So on day 1 and 2, we covered part 1, which is the brain and body chemistry. And then on days 3 and 4, we went into the unconscious references, how to find and change the implicit childhood memories that are at the root of limiting beliefs and your limiting self-image. And today, I'm going to answer some frequently asked questions. I'm going to share a couple of real life case study examples and to give you an idea of how it relates to real life. And I'm going to give you the main points to take away from the whole workshop and the next steps for moving forward. And of course, as always, please do put your questions in the chat if you're live, or in the comments if you're watching. We love answering, if you're watching the replay, I mean, we love answering questions. So do get those answered from us. So starting with some of the frequently asked questions we get, and I'm going to read through the 5. I'm going to do 5 of them today. I'll read through all of them first, and then I'll answer them one by one. So the first one is, how do I know if a memory has changed? Number 2, what if I can't find any childhood memories? Number 3, what if I have too many childhood memories? Number 4, what if I can't imagine someone differently? So, for example, I can't imagine my mother or my father being affectionate or kind or compassionate or loving. And number 5, what if I still can't love myself? So starting from the first one is, how do I know if a memory has changed? So you'll know it's changed if, as you think of that time in your life, it's the first memory that comes to mind and you can feel the good feelings. So just like when you change your phone number, you know that you've changed it in your memory when, as you think of what's my phone number, it's the new phone number that comes to mind. So you may still be able to remember the old one, but it's the new one is the first one that comes to mind. So that's number 1. Let me know if you need more clarification on that, though. Number 2, what if I can't find any childhood memories? So some people can't remember much of their childhood at all. We've worked with a lot of clients who don't have many childhood memories. And then there are other people who have kind of overwhelmed by childhood memories, so many of them. So if you can't find any childhood memories that seem to be related to the feeling of the issue you're trying to change, go with whatever you can remember. So go with the earliest. So first of all, if there are any negative childhood memories at all, they need to be changed because they'll be affecting your life in some way. So even if they don't seem related to the topic you're addressing, if they're negative, change them anyway. But if you can't remember any negative childhood memories at all, then just go with the first one you can remember, even if that was like last week. So go with that. And as you start addressing that, you may find others come. So just to clarify as well, when we say childhood, we're including teenage years. So, if you were 14, 15, 16, those are still counted as childhood. So in the context we're meaning them. So go with, if you can't remember a very early one, go with the earliest one you can remember, and you may find others, you suddenly remember others, and then you can change those as well. If you have a list of them, go with the earliest one first. Which brings me to the next question, which is, what if I have too many memories? Go with the earliest. So if you've got, like, I don't know which one to change first. I've got too many. Go with the earliest one. Now, very importantly as well, you do not need to change all of the memories manually. So as we change a memory, the unconscious part of the brain will update other memories that are related to it. So your brain is constantly updating, and we can't consciously possibly address everything. We don't have the capacity to do that consciously, but the unconscious part of the brain will do. And it's only if it can't update it that you'll suddenly remember it, and then you'll suddenly remember a memory, and then you can change that. So an example of this that I think is an excellent one, of how the brain updates information, whether it's true or not. And this is why changing memories works so well. When I was writing our book a few years ago, and I mentioned this. I described the scene where I'm sitting in front of a brick wall. So those of you who read the book will recognize that scene. And I talk about my cell phone ringing on the passenger seat of the car. And as I was going through, the many rereads and editing, as I was reading that scene, that section of the book, I had the scene in my head very, very clearly. I remember it so well, and I realized that I could see the cell phone on the passenger seat of the car, on my right hand side, ringing. And at some point, I realized it couldn't possibly have been on my right because I was in England at the time. And of course, the driver's seat is on the other side of the car. So my cell phone had, or my mobile, as we call it in England, had to have been on the left hand, on my left. So what had happened was, since I'd lived in America by that stage for, I don't know, 5 years or so, my brain had automatically updated just that piece. So the whole scene was the same, but it had moved the passenger seat of the car to the other side because I'd been living in America for that long, driving on the other side of the road, and the other side of the car. So so that's an example of how the brain automatically updates data based on our experiences, based on new experiences. And the same happens when we change memories. So when you change your memories, your childhood memories, your brain will automatically update pieces of data, and other memories that are connected, unless it can't, and then you'll suddenly remember something. So I hope that helps to answer that question. So, excuse me, the bottom line of that is, excuse me, hold on a second. So the bottom line of that is ginger water. So the bottom line of that is that we don't have to change every memory ourselves manually, and hopefully that's reassuring for you, so you don't feel overwhelmed. And so number four is, what if I can't imagine someone differently? So we get this a lot. If I can't imagine my father being affectionate, or I can't imagine my mum being, praising me. The answer to this is, number one, remind yourself this is not them. This is not those people. Those people can't fit inside your head. This is literally just neurons connecting in your own brain. So, it doesn't have to be believable. So this is just imagination, number one. And number two, the reason you may find it difficult to imagine someone differently, apart from the logic, which we've just answered. So the logic, like they would never have done that. That's a very common thing. So the answer to that piece, that logic, is this isn't them. So it's true. I would acknowledge it and say, yes, that's true. They would never have done that. And this is not them. This is my brain. So that's that part. The other part of it, though, can be that your brain may be feeling it's or seeing it as dangerous to change, or that it's not possible. And the solution to that is, and you can try it now with me. You can follow along now if you like. Imagine that person, so mother, father, teacher, whoever it is. Imagine that person in front of you, and whatever color hair they have, just change the color of their hair. So if they have, dark hair, make it blonde. If it's red hair, make it dark. Just change the color of their hair. And then, and if you find resistance to that, remind yourself this is just neurons. So neurons were firing in this particular way, which gave them dark hair. Now you're just changing the way the neurons in your brain are firing to give them light colored hair or red hair or blue hair. You can choose whatever color you like. It's your brain. And so once you've done that, give them a different hairstyle. So, short, long, pigtails, plaits, whatever, mohawk, play around with it. Um, choose to have fun with this, because the more fun you have with it, the lower the level of stress chemicals, the higher the level of feel-good chemicals, and the easier it'll be to do. And keep reminding yourself this is just you. There's nobody else here. That person is not involved. Then put a red nose on them, put a feather boa, give them long eyelashes, play around, give them a moustache, play around with the image of that person, just to kind of make it more pliable, just to loosen up that concept that you have of them, and for your brain to see to experience that it's safe to do this. There's no danger involved. And then you can make them sit down, stand up, jump up and down, dance. So play around, have some fun with it. So that'll loosen it up, and then go back and see if you can now imagine that person being kind or being affectionate or whatever you were trying to do, change them to. If it's still tricky, then you may need to change other memories that are connected. So you could ask yourself, how do I know that I can't make them affectionate, or, and notice what happens inside you, and then address that. And of course, if you need help, put a comment in the chat, or the comment section. Reach out to us, or reach out to one of our practitioners. I'll put the link to the practitioners in the description of this video, and in the pinned comment. Number 5, what if I still can't love myself? So the answer to this is going to be keep doing the things. So it's going to take a different amount of time for different people, and you will start to see something, depending on what else is going on for you. But it can take time. This is not magical. I mean, it seems magical sometimes, but it is physiological. So it's the same as if you were trying to get fit to run a marathon, or you were trying to build muscle. It takes time. And so, you may say, well, I'm still not strong enough to lift the heavy weight. Well, then you need to keep lifting the smaller weights and build those muscles. Or you may say, I still can't play Stairway to Heaven on the guitar. You need to practice and learn, simpler songs and make that progress. In the same way, if you still can't love yourself, here are the steps. Number 1, practice that beginner's exercise from day 1. And then move on to the self-love expansion of that exercise, which you'll find in day 2 of this series. Keep practicing that. Just keep practice. Go back to that and just keep practicing that until it's easy to do. And once that exercise is easy to do, then move on to the detective work of the memories, find those memories, and then change them. So it really is just keep going and keep reminding yourself this is physical. It's physiological, so it takes time, and it's real. So this is not some sort of airy-fairy thing that you have to believe. This is actual physical processes in the brain. And if you are still struggling, then reach out. Either ask questions or ask for suggestions or help in the comments of these videos, or contact one of our practitioners. Again, I'll put the link to that page, the list of practitioners, in the description of this video, and in the pinned comment. So hopefully those answers are clear. If not, please let me know. I love answering questions. So just let me know what you need, and of course, if you have any more questions. So now, after a sip of ginger, moving on to real life case studies. All right. So the first one is someone I worked with who was a people pleaser. I worked with a lot of people pleasers. I was a professional people pleaser myself. And this particular person had a lot of the symptoms that so many of us have. She was always apologizing unnecessarily, and she was doing things that she didn't want to do, but she was saying yes to them because she didn't want to upset people. So she found it very difficult to set boundaries. She found it when she did set boundaries, she found it difficult to maintain them. She found it difficult to say no to things and no to people. And she was also feeling taken advantage of at work by her work colleagues, but she couldn't bring herself to say anything or stand up for herself, speak out. So she had this kind of conflict going on inside her where she was feeling resentful, and effectively she was betraying herself. So the childhood memory, there were a lot of childhood memories that were at the root of the people pleasing. But one of the main links was the fact that her parents were always working. They both worked a lot. And when they weren't working, they were stressed and distracted. And they also argued a lot. So I wanted to use this one as an example because I think this is a really great example of a very, very important point. As adults, we can understand and reason and use logic. My parents were stressed. They were doing the best they can. The arguments had nothing to do with me. As an adult, we have the ability to see that. But I want us to look at this through the child's brain. From birth, we are completely at the mercy of the adults around us. We rely on them for everything we need, and everything that happens to us comes from outside of us. It comes from them. So good things, bad things, and very importantly as well, they are supposed to keep us alive. Right. So the bottom line, the unconscious part of the brain comes down to the bottom line that of survival. And because I'm helpless, these big people are supposed to keep me, they're going to keep me alive and protect me. In order for them to do that, they need to like me and approve of me. And if they don't like me or they don't approve of me, if they don't love me, and if I'm not good enough, they are going to save someone else. So if a predator comes, someone else will get saved. Or if if there's not much food, I'm not going to be someone else is going to be the one to get the food to be fed. Obviously, not in those many words, not in any words at all. It's an instinct. So we are wired to please these adults in order for us to survive. So hopefully that gives a little bit of insight as to why this can be so powerful. This need to please the adults, to please our parents, to need their approval. And I remember as a child hearing things like, "Oh, she's just looking for attention," talking about a little girl or a little or a little boy. She's just looking for attention. And that's like saying, "Oh, he just wants to breathe," or "she just wants food." It's like attention is survival. Attention is essential to survival. So looking through this particular client, looking through the eyes of her brain, or looking through the perspective of her brain, the adults who were supposed to keep her alive were overwhelmed, were distracted. So they're working, they're not paying attention, and they're arguing, which means they are stressed. There's something wrong. There's danger, and her very survival is at risk. And so, as this little girl grew, she developed this compulsion to make them okay, to make them feel okay, to make them be okay, so that she wouldn't die. And it really comes down to that bottom line. So I'm going to die unless these people are happy and happy with me in particular. And of course, this is not conscious. This is unconscious. So she didn't know she was thinking that, and neither did the parents, of course. So the child's brain then keeps trying this impossible task of keeping these parents safe, calm, and happy so that she will live. Excuse me, so that she will live. And that wiring then becomes people pleasing in the adult. I hope that makes sense. So just let me know if you've got any questions on that or you need clarification on it. So we changed all of that. We changed it in this particular instance. We changed her parents to hippies. So they were in caftans, very laid back. They played the guitar, they sat in hammocks, and life was really laid back and gentle. And every time she entered the room, their faces lit up. They had all the time in the world for her. And so you'll see that this creates a feeling of calm, safety, and she's the most important thing to them. So, and in fact, everyone needs a memory of your parents' faces lighting up when you enter the room. Everybody needs that. So if that's not your real experience, create it. So imagine if your parents they're busy, they're doing other things, maybe they're on the phone or they're chatting with someone, and you walk in the room and they stop what they're doing. They drop everything because you're the most important thing, and their faces light up. Oh, there you are, and they hug you. Imagine having that experience as a child consistently. And imagine what that would do for the foundation of your self-worth, your self-esteem, your self-image. And then create that. Because the fact that that isn't what happened is that's a fact. And obviously you can't go back in time and change that literally. But the unconscious part of the brain can't tell the difference between reality and imagination. It can't use logic or reason, and it can't judge something as unrealistic. Only the conscious mind can do that. So you can consciously think, yeah, that would never have happened, while the unconscious part of your brain believes it's happening now. So that's very, very important to keep in mind. All right. So I think that so the result was, of course, that she is now able to treat herself the way she should have been treated by her parents, and the way her parents are treating her in her new memories, with love and respect and compassion. And her boundaries now with other people are automatic. She doesn't have to set boundaries and enforce boundaries. She just automatically says what she wants and what she doesn't want. And she doesn't want to do something, she just says, oh, no, I'm sorry, I can't. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions about that one. And so another one, before I start the next one, I'll have some ginger. All right. Steve's put in the chat here. I had a couple of minutes to check in, sending love and encouragement from your favorite people, please. Thanks, Steve. That's an ex-people pleaser, of course. All right. So the next example. So this is a client who had extreme self-loathing. He was constantly beating himself up. Whenever something went wrong, he would automatically blame himself, even when it wasn't his fault. And even when it was someone else's fault, he would somehow find a way to make it his fault, even with things that were beyond his control. And the link in his childhood was being the eldest of three siblings, and he was expected to be the responsible one. So his parents held him, even though he wasn't much older than the next one down. I think it was only 1 or 2 years older. His parents held him responsible for the mischief that his brother and sister caused. And the worst thing about it was that his parents wouldn't listen to him when he tried to explain what happened. So his brother and sister, one or the other, or both of them, would do something, and then he would be reprimanded by his parents, and he wasn't given the chance to explain. And the poor thing, there was nothing he could do to make these siblings do what he or not do, behave. He was only a child himself. But you can imagine the programs that created. So he was conditioned to believe that things were his fault even when they weren't. So we created stepping stone memories of his parents asking him what happened. So saying to him, so tell me what happened, and then that feeling of being able to explain what actually happened and what he tried and it didn't work or they wouldn't listen to him or whatever, and then his parents recognizing and acknowledging that it wasn't his fault. That was a really, really important piece. And then in his final memories, we gave him an older brother. So he wasn't the eldest. So he has an older brother now who is always responsible and looking out for him. So you can imagine the difference, the shift in feeling of someone else is taking care of it. Having been conditioned and growing up, spending all his life feeling like everything is on him, now someone else has taken that weight. So again, he consciously, of course, knows he doesn't have an older brother, but the unconscious part of his brain believes he does. And so he has experienced that shift. And then we did additional new memories of him being an only child. So his parents completely dote on him. There are no siblings to worry about, and which to the unconscious part of the brain means safety. So he's the only one. So if a predator comes along, he's the one who will be saved. If there's not much food, he's the one who will be fed. Again, this is all unconscious and instinct. Now, I need to explain how this can all happen at the same time. So because to the unconscious part of the brain, there is no logic or reason. It can't use logic or reason. And there's no linear timeline or anything like that. That's all the conscious mind. To the unconscious part of the brain, it's all just pieces of data. So you can have new memories of having an older brother and at the same time being an only child. These are just separate pieces of data. So that's why we did that. All right. So hopefully all of that makes sense. Let me know if you need more examples or you need clarification on any of those. And so now onto the recap of the main points from this workshop on how to love yourself. So part one, the brain and body chemistry. Number one, thoughts are connections between neurons, nerve cells in the neocortex of the brain, and those connections trigger matching chemicals. Negative thoughts trigger stress chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol. Positive thoughts trigger feel-good chemicals like endorphins, serotonin, and oxytocin. Number two, the beginner's exercise, which is in day one, and the self-love expansion of that, which is in day two, help you to develop the ability to change your brain and body chemistry through neural connections that trigger feel-good chemicals like endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin. So those are the foundation, and it's very important to keep practicing those exercises. Part two, the unconscious references. Number one, how we feel about ourselves. So whether we love ourselves or not, that's our self-image, is determined not by objective fact. We don't hate ourselves or judge ourselves because there's something wrong with us. We hate ourselves or judge ourselves because the brain contains unconscious references that give evidence of that, and that evidence is not true. So the unconscious references or implicit memory from childhood experiences is what determines how we feel about ourselves, how we see ourselves. Number two, as we think of ourselves, the unconscious part of the brain is referring to those implicit childhood memories that prove who we are, and then triggering matching chemicals. And those chemicals determine how we're feeling, whether we feel doubt or love, however we feel about ourselves. Number three, the conscious mind is constantly looking for reasons for how we feel, trying to make sense of how we feel. So for many of us, this is what happens. As we think of ourselves, the unconscious part of the brain refers to implicit memories from childhood experiences that prove we're bad or not good enough or that there's something wrong with us. Those connections between neurons then trigger stress chemicals that cause those feelings of being bad or not enough or guilty or lacking in some way. And as the conscious mind registers those feelings, it looks for reasons for them. And we then think of things we should have done, or things we did that we shouldn't have done, or we think of all the things that are wrong with us. And often those things, often those things are things uh, we wouldn't necessarily judge in someone else. We have very different standards, and that's because those chemicals, those feelings, are not based on logic, and they're not based on now. They're from childhood. So, and as those neurons connect, as we're finding the reasons, those neurons connecting again trigger more of the stress chemicals, amping up those negative feelings. And so it becomes a vicious circle not based on logic or objective fact, but purely on unconscious childhood references that have nothing to do with who we are right now or anything to do with now at all. Number four, based on the latest in neuroscience, memories can be changed, and changing those negative childhood memories to the opposite, positive and empowering, automatically changes our self-image. And the unconscious part of the brain is then referring to the new evidence that proves our worth. If you'd like more on the science behind all of that, the neuroscience behind all of that, there's a link in the description that will take you to some of the research on that. Number five, when we change childhood memories, the unconscious part of the brain will believe the new memories while we will still consciously remember what originally happened. So we're not fooling ourselves or gaslighting ourselves. It's the difference between the unconscious part of the brain and the conscious mind. And number six, it takes consistency and repetition with the good feelings to establish the new memories. So that's very important. And now, very, very importantly, let us know what your questions in the comments. And because I love answering questions, and you deserve to have clarity so that you can genuinely and authentically love yourself. And you deserve the wonderful results that loving yourself will bring you. A reminder to not address trauma on your own. So reach out to a certified Remmert method practitioner for help with that, with trauma. Or if you're just stuck and you need some help, and I'll put the link in the description and the pinned comment to the list of practitioners. And also, so this brings us to the end of this workshop, and I want to ask you what suggestions you have for other videos from us. So we're thinking of doing more of these 5-day free live workshops here on YouTube. So let us know if you have any ideas for topics that you would like us to cover. And I think that's it for today. And there aren't any questions in the chat right now. Hello, Madrone77. Nice to see you there. So I think that's it then. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep the comments coming and let us know if you